Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is Sipping Tea with Nat and Z. I'm Nat.
And I'm Z. Hello, hello.
Howdy.
Welcome back. Brr, 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 brr. We are back from what, like a month of being
Yes,
off about
yes,
that.
yes.
Um,
You guys
so
missed us. I know you did.
I know
Mm-hmm.
you had to have, but at least our social media feed was still popping a bit.
Kudos
So
to Zarifa, y'all. Let me tell y'all, Zarifa is on it.
look, I try, I
Giving her,
try,
giving her flowers. She's on it.
I try.
Bow, bow,
So
bow, bow.
um we're gonna just jump into it because this is our anniversary episode. We have officially been doing this podcast now for a year, so
Wow.
we are really excited, as you can
Yes,
tell,
yes, yes, yes.
just to kind of do some reflection and some,
Mm-hmm.
introspection
Yes.
and all the other spections. So let's get right into it.
Mhm.
Today's format is just going to be a little different just because it's our anniversary format. We're more free flowing
Yeah.
today than we are
Mhm.
normally. Our tea on the of the day is really a collection of teas that we've
Yeah.
enjoyed over the course of this podcast.
Yep.
So as you know, look, we ain't no tea experts.
If you don't
Talk
know
to
that
your
by
doctor.
now.
Yes, if you don't know that by now, shame on you. But speak to your doctor because sometimes herbal teas or teas can have
Mhm.
a negative effect
True. On your meds.
or a potential side effect to the medication you're on. So you just want to make sure you're doing everything that you're supposed to.
Mhm.
And we're not affiliated with any of these companies, nor are these endorsements. So, Nat, what are the teas on the
Oh.
table that you've bought today?
Okay, so my favorite teas um were the sweet tangerine positive energy tea. I can't remember. I think it was like from the imposter um, episode,
Mm-hmm.
and then the London Fog tea, which Earl Grey is one of my favorite
Whew,
teas
girl.
ever. Like I have so much Earl
Yes.
Grey
Me too. Me
in
too.
the cupboard right now. And then the ginger mint fusion. Anything with ginger, I'm a fan of, and mint is good. They both help if you have tummy aches. So I think that's always a good thing, and it's very comforting to me and stuff.
So
So
I
what about
feel
you?
I feel like I'm a bit of a lush, right? Because two of the teas that I picked actually have liquor in it. But the first tea was the same one you picked, the London Fog Latte. Like I've
Yes.
been obsessed with that as of
Mhm.
late. Like I was making my own, and then I actually buy the concentrate now. Starbucks has a
Oh,
concentrate at,
really?
you can buy in Walmart,
Mhm.
Target, um, probably the grocery stores as well. And then if you like shop at Lidl or Aldi's, they also
Mhm.
have a concentrate that you can
Oh.
purchase. So I highly recommend it. You just add milk and it is delicious.
Oh.
I actually also even have sugar-free
Yes.
vanilla syrup that I pour into
Ooh,
to
you
it.
fancy,
So,
huh?
yes, yes.
Mhm.
I've even experimented with lavender because there are
Oh,
some
yes.
recipes that say you should put some lavender
Lavender.
in it,
Yeah.
and it does kick it up a notch. I'm gonna tell you that lavender takes it to the next level. So,
Oh. Okay,
um,
I'm gonna have to do that. What kind of lavender? Where you get your lavender from?
where did I get my lavender from? I had some. I don't know if I took it from Tisha's house. Tisha has a lavender bush. I might have stole some from her house.
That's funny. Oh, look at this.
So, Um, but then I also have the Bellini tea cocktail
Mhm.
and the Crown Royal Peach iced tea. So those two are my faves. That Crown Royal Peach iced tea is hitting.
Hey, that
I had a
is.
couple. I had actually made some during our little hiatus.
I just didn't have the iced tea. I just went for the Crown Royal
Oh yeah.
Peach part.
Well, the Crown Peach is my fave.
Yes, yes.
So
It's so
I like.
delicious.
It's very
It's so
delicious.
delicious.
And let me tell y'all something as an aside. Before COVID, pre-COVID, we, used to have these things called mixed drink Mondays.
Mhm.
And one of the drinks that we concocted, and I believe your husband concocted it for me.
Yes.
So all credit goes to him. If you are a fan of Parks and Recreation, there's an episode where they were talking about treat yourself. It's one of my favorite Parks and Recreation episodes. Okay, one of my all-time faves. And so the drink is now known as the treat
Treat
yourself.
yourself. It is a staple in our home bar.
It is delicious.
It's delicious.
And so it is. It is a staple. So kudos to your husband for providing me with that because that is my go-to drink. You don't
Yes.
even have to ask me. I wonder if
Right.
I could go to a bar and be like, "Can you give me a treat,
They'll be like, ma'am, what the hell you talking about?
treat yourself?"
And you gotta
Um,
say it like that though.
yes, treat
Treat
yourself.
yourself. Yes.
Um, so yeah, so those are our fave teas. We will put those up on our social medias so that you
Mm-hmm.
can also enjoy those. Or if you've enjoyed those, you can revisit them.
Yes.
So let's get into some hot tea because we have been away for quite some time. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot has happened, and
Yes.
some things have happened actually in the course of 24 hours from
Yeah.
when I first listed a lot of this stuff.
Mm.
So the first thing is that came across my feed actually yesterday
Mm-hmm.
was there is this new reality show that's getting a lot of buzz and a lot of people are pissed off about it. And I believe it's called The Activist. And it's
Oh.
Usher, Prinka, what's her last name? Prinka Jonas, because I don't know her maiden name, but she's
Uh-huh.
married to one of the Jonas brothers,
Oh, okay.
and Juliana Huff, the Dancing with the Stars
Yeah.
girl. And basically, it's supposed to be activists competing in competitions to see who can win, like, I guess, money for their
Cause or
particular
something?
cause. And people are in like uproar because they're like, this is the dumbest idea ever for a reality show. And I kind of have to agree. Like,
Uh-huh.
why do you have activists competing to see which cause
Is
is more
more.
worthy of
I
the
don't
money?
get it. Whose idea
Um,
was this?
I don't know.
Hmm.
And I'm mad that Usher has his whole color behind behind this bullshit.
I thought, how does he have time for that? Isn't he in residence in Vegas?
Yes, he needs to be worried about that, which I heard is
Hmm.
a great show and I
Yes.
really want to
I've
go.
seen some
But
clips and I was like, oh, okay.
I wanted to go when it, remember, and this is funny, this is actually um, a few episodes ago, and it was like probably in the beginning of our podcast where he had announced his Vegas residency,
Mm-hmm.
and I had signed up for like text messages, and I was like, yeah, I got Usher's number.
Yes.
And so I had at that point wanted to go, but with COVID, I was like, I'm not going to purchase these tickets, and then something happens and I can't go. And
Right,
now I
right,
wish I would
right.
have, although I probably still would have been a little apprehensive with Delta, Mu, Lambda, Nu,
All of that.
Pi, Epsilon,
Yeah.
Phi,
But
all the
the entire Greek alphabet. All of that.
all of these different variants of COVID. So yeah, so I want to see his residency, but I am not here for this reality show at all. And I
Mm.
have a feeling because of the backlash that people are going to, or that they're going to probably rethink this whole thing and
Right.
probably nix it. I feel like that's probably what's going to happen.
Like after a couple episodes or like
Yes.
episodes
No,
3.
I think they don't even, I think they're never even going to show it. I think that they're going to be like,
Oh.
let's just pull this whole thing because this was a very dumb idea. Um,
Not in this political climate.
no, no, not at all. Not at
Mm-mm.
all. Speaking of reality shows, I'm not a fan. Okay, so let me preface this. My husband is a huge Big Brother fan. And
It's
I think
still
he's
on?
watched, yes, and I think he's watched Big Brother from the inception.
Oh
And
wow.
I remember when I first watched it with him, and this was some years ago, I was like upset. I was like triggered by this show, and I hated it. But it was like one of those shows I hated, but I couldn't turn away from.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I hated it is because, or I just disliked it, is because it was a typical reality show. They had all these white people on there, like a
Mm-hmm.
few, like, I mean, it was a minuscule amount of other. And when I
Yeah.
mean other, people of color, members of the LGBTQ
Mm-hmm.
community, you know,
It was a monolith.
right, like you don't have like people with like autism, like there's just like a lot of factors that they were lacking.
Mhm.
And the white people all kind of felt like fit the same cookie cutter
Right.
type
Roll.
of role. You
Mhm.
had like the guy from the farm, you had the
Mhm.
jock,
Yep.
you had
The
the
beauty
model,
pageant
right,
model.
right,
The one that's
eh,
kind of awkward but
right,
okay and eclectic.
right. And for past seasons, there was always a lot of racial microaggressions,
Mhm.
and then there were some like outwardly just racist remarks that people would make.
Oh my.
And I noticed that they always would get rid of the others very quickly, to the
Quickly.
point where at the end it was only just white people, right? And
Mm.
if you watch Big Brother, if you watch these shows, like the biggest thing is building alliances, building
Mhm.
people that you can work with to get other people out,
Like
so that
Survivor.
it's just like Survivor.
Mhm.
So I just was like annoyed, like super annoyed. And it was one season in particular where it was this girl on there. It was a black girl, beautiful girl. Her name was Bailey. And she was the last black person standing.
Mhm.
And like what the show showed you, it looked like she was emotionally unstable. Like she just was like unhinged. But what you didn't realize is that she was facing a lot of microaggressions in the house. And then she was also facing a lot of just like outward, you're out because you're black, right?
Right, right.
And I just was like frustrated. And I like I said, I would hate watching it. And he would watch it and he would complain, but he would he would watch it the next season and next season. So this season, after they've complained, all these complaints from viewers, and they have Big Brother After Dark, right? So the
Right.
Big Brother After Dark would show things that would happen that you weren't seeing in prime time. And
Mhm.
there were people calling black people here niggers, monkeys,
What?
just a lot of stuff. This one white girl, this was like a long time ago, told this Asian girl, go cook me some rice. Like very disturbing things.
What the
So,
hell?
and then with Les Munez, what's his name?
Who?
Munez. He's like in charge of CBS, and his
Oh,
wife is
okay.
Julie. And like his sexual harassment
Oh, yeah,
charges
yeah,
and
yeah,
all
yeah,
the
yeah.
Me Too movement. CBS was like, look, we got to really try to do better. So this season is probably the most black people they've ever had, most people of color that they've ever had. Like it's literally like three spots, and they would fill it one black person, one gay person, and like one like nerdy, and I put it in quotes like nerdy.
Nerdy.
So this is the first year they've had like a very diverse cast. There's one girl named Tiffany decided to come up with this thing called the cookout, and it was the alliance with all the black people. And in the cookout, they would have a plus one. So
Mhm.
you would pair yourself up with another person who wasn't in the cookout alliance. And
Mhm.
again, cookouts are black. So they would
Right.
pair themselves up with another white person or person, that was
Mhm.
not black. And they did it without being malicious, without being mean spirited. They played this game. Nobody even knew they had an alliance. Usually the alliances blow up.
Right.
This alliance has stuck through the whole way to the point where now it's six of them. It's going to be a black person that wins Big Brother, and this is the first time in history. This show's been on for almost 30 years,
It's been on
and they've
that.
never had a black winner. This is the first season,
What?
and people are talking about how this show actually is a bigger conversation of what happens when black people actually stick together, what we can accomplish,
Mhm.
and how we're portraying positive images. Like, yeah, all black people are not going to get along
Right.
because a lot of them don't get along with each other. But when you work together for the greater good,
Mhm.
you can accomplish things.
Correct.
On the other side, they're talking about the social commentary, but like all the other alliances that were in the house were led by cisgender
Mm.
white men, which has all fallen apart. So that is like if you're, white, that's a white supremacist's worst nightmare
Right.
because
Which is
all those alliances fell apart and
yeah.
all of them got kicked out.
Mm.
So when you look at it and from that perspective, you're like, wow, yeah, we can really do big things if we work together.
Mhm.
So this was the first season. I still rolled my eyes a lot. But this is the
Right.
first season that I was like, finally, like, thank you, Jesus.
Right.
It'll probably never happen again.
Right. It's a
But
reflection of it's a microcosm of what we live in.
exactly. And just a quick side, one of the guys that's on there is actually Joe Frazier's son, and he's
Oh.
from Philly. and he's gay, which I didn't even know that Joe Frazier had any children.
Oh wow.
So yeah, his name is Big D. They call him Big D. His name is Derek, and they call him Big D. And he is every bit of Philly, and I love it. so, um, so that's for that. Let's see. Kanye and Drake both dropped their albums.
Mhm.
Whatever. I wasn't impressed. I'm not impressed. Nas had the best album of the year to me. So I
Basically.
don't even understand why Kanye and Drake are even in the conversation. Kanye I
What
would
is
just
going
say
on with him? Because he had everybody, then he dropped everybody. Then Andre 3000 said something about who the Donda and the like. I don't
well, what
understand
happened with Andre 3000? He was supposed to be like Kanye told a lot of people that he was going to make the album that didn't make the album.
it. Oh, they ain't made the cut.
No, and Andre 3000 had a verse that was supposed to make the album, but I don't even think the song
I heard the song the other day. I probably was on title though.
maybe, but the
Yeah.
version of the song that Andre 3000 is on, I don't even think made the album.
Hmm.
But I heard his verse, and
Right.
he basically said he doesn't want to be. Basically, he was like, "I don't want to be a part of this narrative, so please take me out of it." Like,
Right.
it's unfortunate my verse leaked. I like both of y'all. Y'all need to stop beefing. That's
Right.
what I got from
And I
it.
don't understand
So
the beef anyway.
I don't either.
Mm.
Cardi B had her baby. She had a baby
Oh, she
boy.
did.
Don't know what the
Oh,
baby's name is, but
that's nice.
congrats to them.
Hmm.
Um, Versus next week, Fat Joe
Really?
and
Against
Ja
Ja
Rule.
Rule? I don't understand that matchup, but okay.
New York. It's just New
Oh,
York.
okay.
And I think they're both
It's
from the same
regional. It's regional.
they're both from the same era,
Ah,
and their hits kind of were
yeah, around
neck
the
and
same.
neck
Yeah,
with each other in
that
the
makes
time
sense.
span. So
Hmm.
it makes sense. I just don't know, but I've said this before about a lot of like when they had Too Short and E40, I was just like, and then when I listened to it, I was like, yo, I forgot.
Yeah,
This is so I would equate it to that
fair enough.
where if or like Ghost and Raekwon. Like
Hmm.
it's those pockets
Right,
that everybody is not going to be on,
right.
but
There's
those
enough
who
of a base for
yes,
it.
those who are on it are going to be on it.
Right.
Um, let's see. Michael K. Williams unfortunately
Yeah,
passed away.
so sad.
Um, he was 52, I believe,
Hmm.
and they're attributing it to drugs,
Hmm.
fentanyl specifically.
Mm.
Um, he's one of my favorite actors, very underrated in my
Very,
opinion.
very underrated. So
Um,
talented.
Very
Oh my
talented.
goodness.
And just the joy. Like if you ever seen videos of him, I remember in the COVID, like in the midst of COVID, they had videos of him out in the park when they started to open up things a little bit, and he was out in
Hmm.
the park just dancing house with this just random woman,
Yeah.
and it was just a joy to see because he was. You could just see he had a lot of life,
Hmm.
but he had his demons.
Yeah.
He has been very vocal about his demons.
Mm.
So it's very unfortunate. I mean, if you aren't aware of who we're speaking of, he played Omar in The Wire. He played Chalky White in Boardwalk Empire.
Hmm.
He recently was in Lovecraft
Yeah.
Country.
Hmm.
So just a very talented actor, and I'm like really heartbroken by it because I really,
That's
really
sad.
enjoyed his art and his
Yeah.
work. Um, a couple more things. Well, Texas is just being Texas,
What
so
in the
whatever.
world? I
Somebody said that
I
the
can't.
star, their state flag, there's like the
Yes, I saw
star
that. It's a
on the
rating.
flag
It's a
is
rating.
actually the rating. I believe it. Texas is out here wilding out. So I don't
Yo.
recommend. I don't recommend anybody go there right now. And lastly, Dell and Sonia Curry, the parents of Steph Curry,
I don't mean to laugh,
um,
y'all, but go ahead.
they are divorcing after what, like 20 something years of
Yeah.
marriage?
Almost 20 to 30 years.
I
It's
think
a
it's like
lot.
27.
Yeah.
And if initially it was just like, okay, there's a lot of people. This is a trend now. And if I could find the article, I'll post it. But there's this trend of people who are getting divorced really well into a marriage. Like
Yes.
where you would think people would just stay together, and people are like,
Hmm.
no.
No.
Like Blair Underwood and his wife divorced after
Ooh.
like 20 something, almost close to 30 years of marriage. There was
Wow.
somebody else recently that got divorced and they were together for like about that a length of time. So people ain't staying married, like
This
just to stay
COVID, I'm
married.
telling you, my sister was in Hong Kong, unfortunately where COVID all started. And she said once it did open up for that little window when she went back to clear out her affairs, she said all the teachers now that have communicated with her, she's like, so many people have divorced
Yeah, I
over
can
there.
imagine.
It's just people are out there single, like with the big resignation. It's similar.
Yes,
It's
it is
comparable
very
to that. It's
similar.
comparable to that.
And we probably are going to have to talk about that at some
Mm-hmm.
point, like the what COVID has actually done
Yeah.
to
Yeah. It's
society.
huge.
Like this
Impact is
pandemic
huge.
has really had a huge impact.
Mm-hmm.
But the funny thing, not to say the funny, but the comedy that came out of this is somebody decided to start a Twitter thread to tell this man he don't need to be leaving his wife because he don't want to be out in these streets. He went so far to say, like, do you like charcoal ice cream and turmeric? If
Mm,
you don't,
you
you better.
better.
Like these
Your
girls,
cholesterol.
right? You don't have the cholesterol to be out in these streets.
Whatever. Go back to the love of your youth.
Yes, like these girls be on sneaky links and live with roommates. Like you just, it ain't good out here for
It's
you,
not.
dude.
It's not. Make it work. Go back and make it work.
Right,
Go apologize to your wife.
right. But looking at the situation, it looks like their marriage had been over for a while. They just decided to
Mm.
pull the trigger. Just from
Oh.
some of the reports that I've been
Mm.
hearing, it was just like they were done. They were fed up,
Done.
and
Done.
probably COVID made them just be like,
I'm out.
I'm done.
Mm.
So, it's unfortunate, but their kids are grown.
Yeah.
So, it's not going to have that huge of an impact on the children in the sense that
Mm.
it would if they were younger and still lived at home and still depended on the unit.
Yeah. And I think that's
Um,
when people finally divorce too. Is once the
yeah,
kids are
when the
out
kids.
and they're empty nesters and they're like, I don't like you. I don't like you either. Let's bounce.
But anyway, so yes. So I just, it's unfortunate, but hey,
It is what it is.
it is what it is.
Such is life.
Such is life. So we are going to take a quick break and then we're going to come in and talk about our anniversary.
And we're back to talk about, and Z, I'm going to let you sing that because I can't. Go
I
ahead.
can't either, girl.
It's our anniversary, just like Tony said. Okay? Okay? So we've been here a year, going into year 2, which is awesome. Z had mentioned briefly how we kind of started this with the mixed drinks Mondays and what have you. And that seems so long ago,
Mm-hmm.
Z. It seems so long ago. But,
Mm-hmm.
we used to have mixed drinks Mondays at my house. And we would get together, make dinner, sit down, play Cards of Humanity. I mean, like other type of stuff, and just have different conversations. And we kind of got the idea based on what we talked about because it was pure comedy. That, you know what, we should record this shit because it's funny, and I
Yeah.
know we're not the only ones who have these conversations, and because they're so relatable. And that's kind of why we decided to start. And then boom, COVID happened. We kind of fell back on it for a little bit. Life happened, and then COVID hit, and we're like, yeah, well, you know what, might as well.
Might as well.
We may have a captive audience for this
Yeah.
first year. And here we are a year later, and
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
I
I'm
am
loving it.
too. I think for me, one of the better reasons that I think I decided to pull the trigger with you is, you know, well, of course, COVID. It was just like, what else I'm gonna do? Like,
Right.
I'm just sitting in the house and ain't doing shit. So, but it also I think has been cathartic
Yeah.
because we started just off of a whim in terms of let's just take the conversations we have between each other and our
Mm.
girls and
Yeah.
bring it to a larger platform. But then it turned into some of the topics that we talk about actually have been healing for
For us.
me
Yeah.
because for us, because
Yeah.
we talk about these things, but actually doing research,
Mhm.
the background research that we do to bring these podcasts to life,
Mhm.
it gave me a clear understanding of so many different facets of my life
Yeah.
that I feel like it's almost like the the side note to therapy
It's
or the
therapy in
footnote to
action. It's like your
right,
homework in action that
right, right,
whenever our therapists usually give us homework. I know my therapist does.
right,
And
right.
how we process everything. I think that's a really good point, Z, because it is a side note. It's okay, I've taken my homework home and now we're just sharing it with the rest of the class.
Right. And I think initially I was thinking about, well, I just want to focus on getting it out to the masses as
Mhm.
quickly as possible, as fast as possible. And now I'm just like, I'm happy with the core audience that we have,
Mhm.
because that to me means there are people who actually sit and listen
Mhm.
because they're getting something out of it.
Right.
And I would rather have 30 people listen every week or every
Mhm.
2 weeks to what we have to say and really get stuff from it
Right.
than 10,000 people listen to it and it's just like they listen to half of it. They're not really getting anything from
Mhm.
it. They're just like, oh, I'll just put it on while I'm cleaning or whatever. Um, Now, that's not to say I don't want no more people
Hey,
because,
because we welcome all. Come on now.
but I'm just saying I really do want to acknowledge our
Yeah.
core
Thank you.
group of listeners who stick with us every episode and give
Mhm.
feedback every, just letting us know how good of a job we're doing, or maybe the topic was very
Mhm.
timely for them,
Yes.
or just here's some suggestions
Mhm.
for you all to do moving forward.
And it's developed into a community, I think, of folks that will. I've had some of my neighbors stop and say, "Oh my goodness, that last episode really helped me get through X, Y, and Z," or
Mm-hmm.
I needed that, that lift because
Mm-hmm.
of how we, and our producer says this too, that we'll take a very serious topic and not to trivialize it, but how we infuse comedy with it is just a little bit more, I guess you can kind of take it in a little bit more.
Right.
You know what I
It's
mean?
easier to digest.
Yes, yes.
But I think that that's also a it's also indicative of black people in general. We are
Mm,
a community of people who will take pain
mm,
and turn it into, like, find the humor in it.
yeah.
No matter, and you will see this. Social media will take a jacked up situation and find ways to make it
Yes,
lighthearted. And I think
yes.
that's because we've just suffered so many
Right,
atrocities that it's almost like a defense mechanism,
right,
right?
right. That's like
Like
a lot
I'm
of comedians. They've been through hell and they
exactly.
turned it into comedy.
You turn your pain into laughter some
Laughter,
for some
some sort
people.
of joy.
Right. So just thank you again from the bottom
Mm-hmm.
of our hearts for sticking with us and listening to us. And again, please keep providing feedback.
Yes.
We actually were asking some of you to give us a feedback on your favorite episodes. So please still do that because we have a special surprise for those of you, well, for one of
Mm-hmm.
you lucky listeners
Yes.
who provides us with your favorite episodes. So
Mm-hmm.
please, please do. Speaking of uh, our first episodes were like literally the journey into Umville. Like we,
Yes.
and you may have noticed it, may not have noticed it, but Lord, we used like it was
Every other
every other word was like I'm
um
like
um
and we would be told, like the person, my sister who helps us with editing, our producer, it was just like, y'all gotta, what is up with these like, and I think it was just nervousness
mhm.
at first.
Yeah.
I don't know if we still use the I don't hear it as much
I don't think. I mean,
as I say it.
I said it this morning. I don't think we say it as much because we've kind of settled into a certain level of comfort.
Yes,
So it's
yes.
definitely conversational. So when you talk, I don't know. Do we say when you're
I don't think
listening?
we do. And if we do, it just hasn't really registered. But
Right.
it's definitely
Not like it
not as
was.
much in the beginning. Okay? Because the beginning was just like, woo, child.
Right.
But also those first episodes, I think we were still trying to figure out our timing, how
Mhm.
long these were going to last.
Right. And our
We
setup was different. Like we had two
very,
different platforms going at the same time, and it was we were making it work, but you know,
yeah, it was,
it was growth. It's been growth, and
it's
I
a lot of growth. And that first episode, we just did on a whim. Like
right.
Natalie and I were just like, hey, let's just
See what
practice and see what happens. And that practice episode actually turned into our full episode.
right.
And we actually put on a presentation during COVID for our
Yes.
tribe on how to maintain self-care in the time of COVID, because
Mhm.
this was something unlike anything we have ever seen. We've
Right.
never experienced anything like this. And so it was important for us to make sure that our tribe was okay. And so
Mhm.
we did get our little nerd on. We had a PowerPoint
PowerPoint,
presentation
had
and was like, this is what you
meditation.
need to do. And uh,
It was great.
we were so extra,
I
but
love it.
it was appreciated. And that's
Mhm.
what is most important.
Right. It was great. It was
Yes.
great. I definitely will say that. And then I think one of the other topics that I really think we enjoyed talking about was how to maintain peace in your life, especially under everything during everything that was going on after we talked
Mm-hmm.
about how self-care. And it just
Yes.
kind of morphed into each episode kind of shone a light on what the next episode could be or another topic
Absolutely.
just by us
Absolutely.
talking through everything. And I know you may hear a lot of us a lot of times when we're talking, we'll say a catchphrase or something. We'll be like, we're going to do a show about that. And it just naturally kind of morphed into that. And it would
Mm-hmm.
provide insight to be like, you know what, that's a bigger topic that we don't have time to get into. But let's look into doing some research and maybe making that its own show,
Yes.
you know? So,
And I will say that definitely with us, those the theme, I think initially we just didn't know how long this was going to
yeah,
last.
we
And
really
y'all, if
didn't.
you remember, I was like, Natalie had said something. I was like, she was like, for the next year. I was like, year? Or I was like, you mean days? Shall I say hours?
Hours?
Like, let's keep it simple. Oh, let's slow down. Whoa, Nelly. Let's just pump the brakes there.
Yes, I remember
Because
that.
I just didn't know the time commitment, how
Mm-hmm.
this was going to work. I was a newlywed. My child was just turning. It got into the terrible twos.
Mm-hmm.
Natalie was experiencing some health challenges. It was
Yep.
just a lot, and I just was like, wait, let's slow down.
Down.
But I think that this has been therapeutic for the both of us. This
It
has
has.
given us a bright light
Mm-hmm.
during this time. Like today, we haven't been recording for like a month, like we said.
Mm-hmm.
And today I actually got butterflies. I got excited because I was like, "Ooh,
I
I'm
got up
recording
extra early
today."
today.
Yeah, and you fancy too. I meant to say, you got your show out. I'm like, okay, I didn't know what the dress code
Yes,
was.
yeah, that was dress code. And it says my black is beautiful with my shoulders out.
I wish I knew that was the dress code. I'd have had my show out. But I think the theme, I think definitely for us has always been self care,
Yeah,
maintaining peace, and healing and growth. I
yeah.
think those are the four pillars that our podcast stands on. Even with the more lighthearted episodes, it's
Mm-hmm.
always rooted in
That
those
self
four
care,
pillars.
definitely.
Always. And if you are new to listening to the podcast, or if you've been listening to it for a while, you would know, even looking at the season 1 recap, because we'll call it season 1. Let's
Yeah.
say we're in season 2. It's season
Mm-hmm.
1 recap. Our first episode was self-care in the time of corona. We talked about how to maintain peace in your life. We
Mm-hmm.
talked about how to travel with your tribe. We talked about examining your friendships and
Mm.
determining, what your friend structure really is like. And
Mm.
I would say that episode, I got a lot of feedback from, because people were like, wow, I really thought that this person was in this category. But after
Right.
listening to your podcast, I realized I really don't know that person as well as I thought I did. And I
Yes.
may have to reevaluate and shift them
Yes.
in my life a bit,
Mm-hmm.
because they're not really at the level I thought.
Right.
And we talked about learning how to heal, how to really survive through hurt, whether it's
Mm.
whatever type of hurt, whatever type of pain it is that you're going through. One of you know the episodes that I think was very informational, where we had a guest, was Mercury's and microbraid, like our
Yeah.
astrology. um I got a lot out of that, because I don't follow astrology other than what my horoscope it says today.
Right.
But I didn't know about retrogrades
Grade and
and
your rising sun and moon and
your house, all
yes,
of
all
that.
of that.
So that probably was one of the more informative ones for me, because I hardly did any research on that, because I didn't know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
And our guest, shout out to Heather,
Boop, boop.
did a lot of research, and she's very knowledgeable about that. So
Yes,
she came to the
extremely.
table with a lot of information. Forgiveness, the
Mm.
other F word,
That's a big
health
one.
inequity, and the Black woman, The randomness, that was probably one of my faves.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Me
you know,
too.
how to have difficult conversations, living with fear. I mean, if you listen to these, and that's just some of our episodes. That's not the full gambit of all of the episodes that
Mm-hmm.
we've done. But if you go back and you look at the episodes, you would see it's always rooted in those four pillars.
Definitely. And the responses, like Z said, and the reception that we've received, with you just talking about the friends situation. I had a friend of mine, not even a week ago, mentioned to one of our other friends, that same episode. I really had to step back and ask myself, where does this person live in my life?
Mm.
And she said, and it resonated with me because something had happened a couple weeks ago, I guess, some to that effect. And she made a comment like, I really went back to that episode and was like, wow, that person isn't who I thought they were, good, bad, or indifferent. And I had to realign how I interacted with them. And it made me
Mm-hmm.
think of your episode. And we did that episode early on,
Yes.
early on. So the fact that she was drawing from that episode, like within the past 2 weeks, that really speaks to the impact that we're happy that this has had, even though this has been very cathartic for us, I would say. And then with the responses, we've gotten some really good reviews. Like we've got somebody sent, I think Z, you sent me the one that was like 5 stars. It's the best podcast. I love y'all
Mm-hmm.
vibe. I've had
Mm-hmm.
one of our mutual friends, a soror of ours, from Pittsburgh, was like, I'll sit there listening to the podcast and try to interject and talk
Yes.
because I'm like, oh, I'm at the conversation at the table with y'all, and be like, y'all ain't listening,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I've had a couple people tell me the same thing. Like I get mad because y'all don't respond to me,
Right,
and they realize, oh, this is the podcast.
right.
You know, I, I feel like it's. I think the reason why the people who have responded, respond so well is because it is just the conversations that you would have with your people.
Mhm.
Um, we're not talking about anything that you don't talk about with your girls
Right.
or your guys or your family. And it's not something that you can't relate to, right?
Mhm.
I've had someone tell me that they feel more comfortable. They were recently diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder.
Mm.
And it was something that they had struggled with their whole life, but they just were able to identify what it is.
Mm.
And they, the reason why they were comfortable with it is because they said they've listened to the podcast and me be so transparent about me also suffering from generalized anxiety disorder. And just knowing that there are you know it's good because it's timely and it's relevant. There are a
Right.
lot of TV shows now that are dealing specifically with mental health
Mhm.
and mental health wellness. There's a show on Apple TV, Ted Lasso.
Mhm.
Um,
I heard that's
if
really good.
It's very good. I don't have Apple TV, but I'm able to watch it. But that's neither here nor there.
Right. I understand. Like Netflix.
But I'm able to watch it. And the main character is having panic attacks, and he's realizing that he probably has generalized anxiety disorder. And I think that this also helps, and not to toot our own horn, and not to make it seem like we're like Iyanla or like Dr. Phil, but I think our personal experiences
Mhm.
are relatable,
Yeah.
and I think that that helps people kind of deal with some of the things that they're dealing with or
Yeah.
identify, oh, maybe this is what I have.
Mhm.
Because, like for example, with my generalized anxiety, it's not anxiety in the way that you would think. I have high functioning anxiety. So you would see me and not think anything is wrong because it's
Mhm.
high functioning. Like I have, like, because I'm type A. So I like overdo and try to overachieve and over. And that causes so many issues for me in my life. Um, and I just hope that whenever this ends, if it ever ends, that there's a lasting impact, that
Mhm.
people can come back to these episodes because they're going through something. It's like I remember Nat and Z had a conversation,
Right.
a podcast episode about this. I'm gonna go back and listen to that because there are probably some things I can take away to move into this next phase or
Mhm.
into this situation that I'm dealing with.
Right. Agreed. Agreed. And with all of that, I think with the funny memories that we've been kind of collecting over this year, there's a few that that definitely come to mind. And like the anti anthem episode when you think what was that?
The Waiting to Exhale
The Waiting to
soundtrack.
Exhale. Yes, I was 18 and I wasn't nobody's damn secretary.
But you were
Secretary,
singing it like
right?
it.
No, good
I
and
was like,
well.
wasn't nobody's damn secretary.
Oh my! And that one was funny. And Martin Luther the King.
That's what you said. You
Yes,
was like, Martin Luther the King. I'm like,
wait.
Martin Luther the
The
King?
King? The King, yes. The King.
The King. Okay, Martin Luther the King.
You
Got it.
said this one about you feel like a 3-day-old Popeyes biscuit. I don't remember where that came from. I don't
That was
remember.
one of the early
Early.
episodes. Early episodes. I said that. I think it was, I forgot which one I said, like, give it to God and give a copay.
Yes.
Like,
Give it to
and I
God
think
and
it was
go
about just dealing with your mental health. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay to, like, because a lot of us are very spiritual, very religious, and we
Mhm.
just, I think a lot of, I would say, and we're gonna do an episode about this because I talk about this a lot because it bothers me that Gen X, like, we are the middle child. Like, nobody talks about us, but we have been the ones that have been really supporting all
Yes.
y'all,
Holding it down.
holding it down for the boomers, the millennials,
X,
the X, Z, Y, whatever.
whatever.
We've been the ones that have been holding y'all down,
Yeah.
and y'all don't give us our just due. But
At all.
anyway, I think the generations prior to us, like some of the baby boomers and even some of Gen X, it's like therapy is a dirty word.
Right.
And nobody wants to go to
Hush.
therapy.
Hush,
It's
hush.
very hush. And if you are really rooted in the church, a
Mm.
lot of people feel like, why are you going to therapy? You ain't crazy. Go to God.
Right.
And that's fine. You can go to God.
Mhm.
But you also need to give up that copay and go to a
Hello.
therapist.
Yes. God put those people in your life and those opportunities in your life to look at that. Just like with a doctor, another type of doctor,
Right.
you know?
At this stage of our lives, in the year of our Lord 2021, if
Mm.
anybody comes to me talk about some, oh, therapy, that's that white people shit, or that's that
Yeah.
bougie shit, or that's that,
Black people
I
don't do
dismiss you.
that. Black
Yeah,
people don't go
I
to
ain't got time.
therapy.
I don't have
Come on
time.
now.
I don't have time.
It is not the time for that. We have got too much stuff going on.
Too
You
much.
cannot rely on, and not to say you can't rely on your tribe in that way, but your tribe has their own stuff and they're not necessarily equipped in everything. There's a bias and maybe there's some steps that really need to be taken for you to address whatever issues or challenges that you're having that your friend does not have the resources for, and
Right.
they may be going through their own thing and not in a space to help you
Right.
you know
It's important, for us to really take a deep dive into why we are the way we are,
hmm
how we got here.
yeah.
It's time to really, like, clean house, so to
Right.
speak. You feel what I'm saying?
Yes.
And
Some introspection,
it
reflection.
is. There are some people that I know that I would never thought would go to therapy. And I've been having conversations with them and they are in therapy. And I'm like,
Whoa.
bitch,
Yeah.
what?
Mhm.
And I'm happy and I'm proud because I'm like, you really should have been going.
Like a while ago.
Yes, should have been there a long time ago. But I'm happy that you're here now.
Right. Right. For real. I've had
I'm
some
happy
fellas
that you're
say
here
that
now.
too. They're like, yo, I'm in therapy. I was like, dude, what? For real? He's like, yeah, man. I don't just seeing some of y'all posts that y'all make about therapy or whatever. And, now I have one and I
It's
go and
important.
it's
It's
so
important.
important. It is so important.
And I think therapy can also help you find your joy, your
Mm.
passion. It
Yes.
could lead you to that, like, you know,
And not
I
settle.
not settle. And I think that that's important. This has led us to our joy and our passion. I've even thought about, and I'm laughing at myself, but this is one of those imposter syndrome moments. This is one of those moments I do have to do an ego check. One of those moments that I do have to quiet the doubting voice in my head. I was like,
hmm
I wonder if I could be a life coach. I
Yeah.
wonder if I could turn some of this that I've learned into just being a life coach and helping people get through
Yep.
some of the muck. You know what I mean? Just
That's my
get through
plan. I'm gonna do that
some of
eventually.
this. Maybe we
hmm
can. Okay, we need to have a side
Yes, I'm
conversation.
telling you.
You and I.
I'm telling you. There's a course that I signed up for life coaching, but I haven't executed it yet because I'm in school for something else. But yeah, I think that's
Mm,
something.
we need to
Sidebar.
okay sidebar because
Hmm.
um yeah, we need to do sidebar
Hmm.
because I just realized that my child is not going to be able to go to the public school. Is not going to be in the public school system here in the Prince George's County
Yeah,
of the
understood.
Maryland. So
Of the Maryland.
I'm just not impressed, and that's a conversation I think we also need to talk about. Like
Yeah.
the education system in our country right now is
Mm.
just trash,
Yeah. We
and
are
it's
so far
trash.
behind. My
We
sister is
are.
like, "What are y'all doing over there?" She's an educator overseas, and she's like, "Whoa,
It's
what is going
trash.
on
It
with
is,
y'all?"
and I'm sorry to say it like that, but it is trash.
It's a disservice to
And
our students.
here's something that I know we need to look into that needs to be discussed. We always talk about, taxes. Usually, the areas with the higher taxes
Mm-hmm.
usually have the better
School
school
system.
system. And in some of that, there is some of that is true.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's a lot of that is false
Correct.
because PG County is one of the wealthiest black black counties in the
And
in
in
the
the
country,
world,
in the world. And our school system is absolute garbage. It
mm,
is hard, and I'm telling you, it is hard to find a decent school to send your child to in this county. And you know, I think our grad chapter,
mm-hmm.
I think one of the programs, they had a letter writing program, and I
Yes,
believe one of
yes.
the letter writing programs might have been about education.
Yeah, there is a component and about the rezoning of PG County and how it'll affect
Yes,
the schooling system. They
yes,
talked about it, I think, yesterday at chapter meeting.
yes, they did. And I just, and this is a little off topic, and like I said, we'll talk about it in detail. But there's a lot to be said about how the, you know, it's on the parents.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it like that, but it's on the parents, and because there are areas that are very affluent, other than PG County,
Yep.
where you
How?
hear parents say some of the same things and have some of the same frustrations,
Mm-hmm.
and it's sad. It's very sad.
Mm.
And you know, some areas you're afraid to send your kid to school because you don't know if they're going to come home.
Yeah, that's true. My sister used to work in Baltimore school uh school system, and she said it is unlike any other. Wow, it's a
But
disservice to the students. And she said
yes.
the parents, because of where the parents fall in their ages of
Mhm.
how they interact or had the kids, they are not plugged in to this to help to facilitate what the students are learning
They're
during the
not.
day,
They're
and it
not.
and it add and it just messes everything up.
It does. And they say that parents don't participate in public school,
Right.
but they participate in private school. But what I'm learning about the private school system after doing some research is the reason why parents participate in the
Yes,
private school is because they are
that
forced
is
to.
true.
There's a school that we're looking for Charlie, and they basically said you are obligated as a parent
Yes,
to contribute 10 hours a semester
to the school.
to the school, to volunteering,
Hmm.
or you got to give up $100. It's
Yeah.
one or the other. And I'm like,
I went to private school, and that's how my private school was. The parents are so involved. It's kind of crazy
but
at
they have
times.
to, they're forced to be
They're forced
involved. You
to,
have
but it
no
made a
choice.
difference because
Right, but it makes a
it made
difference.
a huge difference because if you weren't on an honor roll in our high school, you were looked at like, "What are you doing here, dum dum?" Like that was being involved in anything academic, excelling, National Honor Society, having the parents involved. That was normal. If you
Mhm.
were a parent and you didn't show up for the PTA meeting, there was like, "Where were
Why are you
you?
here?
Why
Right.
are you here?"
Exactly. And I'm just saying we're going to talk this is going to be such a good conversation that we're going to have
Mm-hmm.
because we are failing our children.
Yes.
And we are failing our children by we're just failing our children. Standardized tests, taking away recess,
Yes. My
taking
sister
away
said that was
music and
horrible.
art, not allowing them to have mental health days.
What is that? These children need that. We had that with band. We had that with art classes. You don't the standardized test. Just my sister, and that's one of the reasons why she left the American school system was because of how it was being. Yeah, how it was just
Yeah.
how the school system was. It was just not where it should be.
But we'll definitely get back into that at a later episode.
Yeah.
But we're talking about our anniversary and some of the things that brought us joy. So I'll get into my favorite episodes, and then you can get into yours, and then we'll talk about the some of
Hmm.
the feedback episodes we got. So the my favorite episodes this season, well last season, was like the
Hmm.
protect your neck episode, how to maintain peace in your life, the gravity of grief, the randomness probably was my all-time
Hmm.
favorite.
Hmm.
Friends, how many of us have them, and self-care in the time of corona will always be my baby because it was the first episode
Hmm.
that we did. So what about you?
I enjoyed the Enjoy Your 40 Shorty. I thought
Oh
that was
yes.
just so relevant to where we are, and it was early, in the beginning, and something that kind of think that was one of the episodes that came kind of effortlessly to us. We kind of
Mm-hmm.
just vibed on that one. The anti anthems was always, I think that was just so much fun.
Oh yeah.
So much fun, and just recalling things and where we were in our life. Randomness, I'm right with you. That was definitely one of the funnest episodes. And then the self esteem, self confidence, and the outside noise. I felt that one kind of spoke to me and where we are in our lives, and how it kind of tied into the imposter syndrome, and where we
Mm-hmm.
are in our careers, and where
Mm-hmm.
we are. You don't mean to compare yourself to other people, but we kind of do, just because of where we think we should be at this point of
Mm-hmm.
our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And then definitely that wish I wish someone some would have told me that that one, But I will say, Reef, that I don't know what episode we started saying the allegedly, but I believe it. That little
Oh yeah.
moniker,
Allegedly, but I
but I
believe
believe
it.
it.
I remember I think I said that about it started with the Megan the Stallion
Yes,
and
the shot in her pinky toe,
yeah.
whatever.
Oh yeah, you shot
Pinky toe.
you got shot in her pinky toe.
I love you, Megan.
Yes. Hot girl shit.
Yeah.
And let me just say, for the record, the girls are out here, and y'all are
Ooh.
mad. I understand.
Mm.
I have to say this. Well, let me get to the feedback
Yeah,
episode,
yeah,
and then I'm
yeah.
gonna go back to that.
Okay.
Some of the feedback episodes we had were friends. How many of us
Mhm.
have them? Knowing when to leave the job, the party, the relationship. The
Mhm.
self-esteem episode, the randomness,
Yeah.
which seems to be a favorite from everybody.
Right.
And how to have difficult conversations.
Yeah.
And I think that was timely too because a lot of us were in, like again, the time of Corona, the
Mhm.
time of COVID, not at jobs that are happy or
Mm.
satisfying because we're seeing how they treat us
Yes.
when we're not physically in the office, our mental health. Like, I will say that probably is my one of my honorable mentions because the way that some of our jobs have been
Mm.
dealing with, especially people of color during this time. Because remember, during COVID, we had George Floyd, we
Mm.
had the insurrection, we've
Man.
had so many things happen that specifically affect the
Black.
community of
Mhm.
color, black people, and
Specifically.
you'll come to work and you will be tired and
The
just
mental.
mentally tired and drained. And it's just like,
Oh, can I get that with TSP report?
oh, how I had a wonderful weekend. Everybody, how was your weekend? Great, wonderful. We just
Mm.
all were just wonderful. Great, great, great. Well, let's just jump into it. It's like, bitch, I'm not good.
Right. The black people. I think there were tons of articles that were like, your black coworkers, your
Are
black
not
employees are
okay.
not
They're not
okay.
okay. And we haven't been okay. And
No,
it's like no one is addressing the fact that we need mental health breaks. And y'all are just like not hearing us.
at
Like,
all.
and y'all not gonna be happy until until one of us really goes off.
Off. Right.
I'm telling you, because it's at that
Mm-mm.
point.
And then they're gonna say they won't give us the courtesy of mental health, mental
No,
illness.
oh no,
They won't.
because
They won't
they
give it.
won't. A lot of people think you being soft when you talk
Yes.
about mental health, and I need a mental health day.
Mm.
Bitch, I've been taking mental health days before mental
Hello.
health days was
Were a
thing.
thing. Was a thing.
Okay, so I don't care if y'all add that to the healthcare plan. A bitch
Right.
been taking that. Okay.
Please and thank you. Please and thank you. I took one the other day.
But to circle back around what I was saying, so everybody's pissed, right? So Chloe from and I wanted to talk about this in hot tea, but Chloe from Chloe and Hallie,
Mm-hmm.
and just came out with her single, and the video was like, okay, you know,
Wow.
and it's very explicit in some regards, right? And so people are really like doing this pushback with Cardi and Megan and now Chloe, Doja Cat, the City Girls. Everybody's doing this. Why do you have to put your body out there? Why do you have to do this? Why do you have to be so sexually explicit? And I'm hearing it a lot from our people, like our generation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, but do you not remember?
BET After Dark.
Not even that. Little Kim
Hello.
dropping it, uh,
Yo, when she
P
was talking
popping
about her.
on P popping on the album cover, like
Yes.
hardcore. Y'all don't remember that? Like y'all all were listening to it. Like I listened to hardcore, like it was like
Mm,
just like everything. I'm just
right.
saying, like
We've been here before, folks.
we've been here before. Stop acting like this is new, cause it's not.
It
Cause
is
you
not.
had Little Kim was the reason she walked so these girls could fly.
Hello.
So this stuff has been out.
Hey, what?
And
Trina.
yes, and y'all been listening
Hello.
to this type of music. It's just you've gotten a little older and you forgot.
Mhm.
I
Oh,
enjoy
right.
it.
And the video girls.
Right.
Except now they're taking their own agency and they're like, I'm gonna have my own chicks in the video, and or I'm gonna be the one because
And that's
I can
and there it
control
is.
the environment. I'm controlling
Facts.
the environment,
Facts.
and I'm not being objectified because I'm putting it out how I want it to be seen, not
Facts.
because it's not male dominated or
You
driven.
ain't telling the truth when you're telling the truth. I'm telling you, telling the truth. Let me tell you, these are facts. It is agency. It's women. People don't like women taking
Yes.
agency over
At
their own body and sexuality.
no
You want to determine
double
how to
standard.
sexualize us. You want to determine
Hmm.
when we can be sexy, when we can't be sexy.
Yes. When
You
we a
want to
hoe,
determine.
when we not a
Yes,
hoe.
that's and that is the problem.
Yes.
That is the problem with Texas's
Whoa,
abortion ban, but I ain't gonna get into that right now.
man.
That is the problem.
I,
You don't want women to be able to determine what they can do to their bodies, how they
mm.
choose to expose it. There was a viral video where this white guy who's very religious came up to these other white women who were on the beach, and they guess they were in bikinis, and he basically told them to cover up. You shouldn't be
What?
out here flaunting yourself. Yes, girl. Why are you out here flaunting your stuff?
If you don't
You
go
are
sit
only
down.
doing this. Yes, because you're insecure.
Wow. Wow. And just
It's
it's so pervasive. It is so pervasive. And it's just yeah, I just
but you know what cracks me up? Who is sexualizing these women?
mm,
You are. You're
hello.
saying that you're saying, oh, this is perverted or perversion.
Right.
But were you saying it was perversion when Nelly was taking a credit card and swiping it down bitches'
Hello.
asses in his video?
I don't think so. I don't think so. At BET After Dark. That wasn't happening then. Any of the other videos? The two live crew? Hello. Everybody forget about that. Uncle Luke.
Hello. And
Right next to all the boom booms. I'm just saying. I'm just saying the cover with the thongs. 95 South, whatever, 85 South, whatever the people are on the highway. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
but that's where we're at, and it annoys me so because it's just like it's such a double standard and it's such a
Yes.
specific double standard. Now if you were somebody that didn't listen to Little Kim or Foxy Brown and you ain't checking for Megan and Cardi, then I understand it because that was never your thing. But
Right.
don't be the girl who was all there out there pee popping
Mm,
to Little Kim's hardcore what like out there
mm.
in a two-piece with your green wig and a
Thank
green
you.
fur, and now
Hello.
you looking at Megan and Cardi like you don't understand.
You don't understand why. Really? Okay.
That's because you got drop.
You just mad. You just hating. Because you ain't there. Woo, y'all ain't
But
got
I'm
no
just
type of
saying, I
watch.
had to get that off of my chest.
Yes. It's so
That was sitting on
true.
my chest. That was
It's
sitting
so
on my chest.
true. I mean, and even on the other shows, the reality shows, and if the dude is stepping out on the chicks, it's like whatever. And then if the chick has guys, and oh, she a hoe, but the dude can be out fucking, ooh, excuse me, a whole bunch of other people. I'm sorry. I just, you see, I'm kind of passionate about it. Excuse me. Whew, got a little verklempt there. I was a little excited because it just irritates me when that's a double standard with the side chicks and the side pieces and how it's
Oh,
normalized, but not. But let a chick do it, and oh, she's doing the most, but let a dude do it. It's expected. It's okay.
right. This is another episode. See, we
Yeah.
just came up with like 3
Yeah,
episodes in this
exactly.
one episode. And this is what we talking about,
Right.
okay? This is the whole premise of why we do this, why we enjoy doing this, because it's conversations, again, that you will have with your girls, you will have with your people. You just will enjoy. And again, we could take the most serious topic and turn it into something that can make you laugh and you can smile.
Hmm.
So, what is our season 2 looking like now?
So we're looking at gratitude. After
Mm,
this past year, a lot of us have had losses, some triumphs, but it's been hard. And just being thankful for where we're going and what we have
mm-hmm.
accomplished. Definitely the mean girl syndrome. I was just talking about this morning, based on some things that I've observed, watching television and just in the media. And black is beautiful. We definitely need to celebrate that. We are becoming a little bit more, I will say, watching TV, you will see more of us. The
Mm-hmm.
representation is that much more apparent than it has been in ever.
Mm-hmm.
Even with the census, they had some figures on that. I'm not going to go into that right now, but it definitely is a time to uplift ourselves. And that's what my t-shirt say is black is beautiful, by the way.
Yes.
My off the shoulder joint. And then having a purpose driven life. I think, with everybody having, dealing with COVID, the what do they call it? The grand
Resignation or the great
resignation, the
resignation.
great resignation. People are trying to look and say, well, what am I here for? People are losing loved ones. And it makes you sit back and reflect. Well, what is my purpose? I need to be doing something else with my life, and
Hmm.
this ain't it,
Mm,
and this ain't
mm,
it.
mm,
And
mm.
that speaks to the divorce thing. People, in the house with their significant others, like, I don't like you. You don't like me. Let's be out this bitch and go on and have a purpose driven life and enjoy ourselves. I mean, it's just people are really trying to sit back and reflect instead of, most of the time this country is go, 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 go.
Mm-hmm.
And now we are forced for the most part last year to sit and be still. And
Mm-hmm.
that has forced people to sit and think about, what am I doing with my life and how
Right.
can I move forward in a
Right.
positive way,
Absolutely.
you know?
And I think for this next season, we're just going to continue to celebrate us.
Yeah.
Us as a collective, us
Mhm.
as us.
As women.
Whatever your us is,
Mhm.
continue to celebrate you all. Continue to try to bring some joy into your ears, every couple weeks. Try to give information try to provide information that is helpful, that is useful,
Mhm.
that will get you through whatever situation that you may be facing, trial, tribulation, whatever. We just hope
Mhm.
that we continue to be a bright light for our listeners and a bright light to each other. And,
Yeah.
with that, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back with the last sip of the day. And we are back. So, this is the last sip of tea with your Hood Dalai Lama. I am your Hood Dalai Lama. Today's quote is from the prophet Andrew Caldwell. Wear your mask. Wear your mask. Wear your mask, people.
Please, please, people.
If you don't know who Andrew Caldwell is, look it up. This is a viral video. Wear your
Your mask.
mask, okay? Look, we got all kinds of variations of COVID out here in these streets. These kids now are starting to get it and they starting to take these kids out.
Mm.
We got Biden on the being people say he's a dictator now because he's telling y'all getting vaccinated whether you like it or not because I'm tired of
Mm.
dealing with y'all fools. You got people out here just losing their mind at PTA
Yes.
meetings, at
Crazy.
at board meetings because they don't want to wear a mask. People getting taken off of airplanes.
Airplanes.
Whatever your stance is on the vaccination, that's your stance. And I don't have agency over your body, so I'm not going to tell you what you do. And I don't want to have agency over your body. If you're not going to get vaccinated, that's your personal choice. But stop being out in these streets acting like you just are on an island by yourself, because you're not. Take precautions. Just be responsible. Okay, you don't want to get vaccinated? Double up with your mask. Sanitize. Wash your hands. Don't be in around a whole bunch of people. Don't go over to your grandmom's house who's 88 and can be susceptible to getting COVID. Stop thinking you're invincible. Stop thinking that this is just a hoax. Stop. Just be empathetic. Be mindful. Just be smart and responsible. Stop being selfish. Keep a damn mask on your face. Do what's right, not just for you, but for all those people you could infect, because you don't want to just be out here doing what's right. And that's the last sip of the day with your damn hood Dalai Lama. Because I'm tired of y'all. I'm trying to go and be on somebody's beach with a damn drink in my hand, and I can't.
Facts.
Because y'all just want to be out here just running the streets acting like COVID still ain't out here.
Facts on facts. So, thank you again for joining us this week on Sippin' Tea with Nat and Z. As you know, you can follow us on Instagram at sippintea_NatandZ_pod, and on Facebook at Sippin' Tea Nat and Z to get information on upcoming podcast topics, guests, and news. Thanks again for listening, and catch us on the next episode where we get to talk about PWIs and HBCUs, which is predominantly white institutions and historically black colleges and universities. Have a good week, y'all, and wear your mask.
Worm.
Word.